Think about the last time you sat down to do something important, something that actually mattered to you, and made it more than 10 minutes without picking up your phone. Not because you needed to, just because it was there. That pull you feel, that small, almost invisible tug toward the screen. That is not a personal failure. That is by design. The modern digital world was not built to help you think. It was built to interrupt you just enough that you keep coming back. Every ping, every badge, every red dot on an icon, each one is a small tax on your attention, and most of us are paying it without even noticing. But here is the thing. There is a tradition, rooted in Japanese philosophy, that understood the weight of mental clutter long before anyone had a smartphone. It is built on a simple idea that empty space is not wasted space, that silence is not absence, that what you remove from your environment shapes your mind just as powerfully as what you add to it. The Japanese call it the meaningful pause, the intentional gap, the breath between notes that gives music its shape. When you apply that thinking to your digital life, something quiet begins to happen. You stop reacting, you start choosing. The noise does not disappear overnight, but it starts to lose its grip on you. These 10 habits will not ask you to delete everything and live off the grid. They will simply ask you to look at your devices differently, not as entertainment systems or anxiety machines, but as tools that should serve you on your terms. Let's begin. Look at your home screen right now, not later. Right now. Picture it in your mind. How many apps are on it? How many of them did you open yesterday? How many did you open this week? Most people are carrying somewhere between 40 and 80 apps on their phone. A good number of those were downloaded once, used twice, and have been sitting there ever since. Small sign waits on your visual field every single time you unlock your device. This is where comes in. Is one of the oldest concepts. In Japanese aesthetics, architects use it, musicians use it, painters use it. It describes the negative space in a composition, the gap, the pause, the deliberate emptiness that gives everything around it meaning. A Japanese rock garden is not beautiful despite its open space. It is beautiful because of it. The rocks only speak because the space lets them. Your home screen works the same way. When every inch of it is filled with icons, folders, and widgets, your brain processes all of it at once. Every single time you pick up your phone, you are not consciously reading each app name, but your visual system is scanning, sorting, and filing it all in the background. That is cognitive overhead you are spending before you have even done anything. Clearing that screen is not about being extreme. It is about being deliberate. The habit is straightforward. Move everything off your home screen except the 3 to 5 tools you use with clear intention every single day. Not the apps you open out of habit. Not the ones you open because you are bored. The ones you open because you chose to dot everything else goes into a secondary page, or a single unnamed folder, or off the device entirely. Or you will notice, and this sounds small until you feel it, is that unlocking your phone stops feeling like walking into a crowded room. It starts feeling like walking into a quiet walk space. The visual calm changes the first second of your interaction, and that first second sets the tone for everything that follows. Is not about emptiness for the sake of emptiness. It is about making room for what matters to actually be seen. Your home screen is the front door to your attention. Design it like one. There is an ancient structure in Japanese performing arts called Jo. It comes from no theater and traditional music. Jo is the slow, deliberate opening, a gentle beginning that eases you in. Ha is the development, where things pick up pace and complexity. Kyu is the swift, intense conclusion that resolves everything before returning to stillness. Every great performance follows this arc, and interestingly, so does every productive human day when we actually allow it to. The problem is that notifications have completely destroyed this rhythm. Most people begin their day in Kyu. The alarm goes off, the phone is already in hand, and within 60 seconds the brain is processing emails, news headlines, group chat messages, and app alerts all at once. You have gone from asleep to maximum cognitive speed, with no transition, no warm-up, no Jo whatsoever. And then you spend the rest of the day trying to find focus that was broken before you even stood up. Notifications are not just interruptions, they are rhythm destroyers. Each one pulls you out of whatever arc you were building and resets your mental clock to zero. The habit here is to stop treating all notifications as equal and start sorting them by response window. Think of it in 3 layers. There are things that genuinely require a fast response, maybe 1 or 2 communication channels where urgent matters actually appear. There are things that deserve attention within a few hours. And there are things, the vast majority, that can wait until the end of your day or longer, without any real consequence. Most people have all 3 layers set to the same urgency level. Everything buzzes, everything interrupts, everything feels equally pressing, which means nothing actually is. Start by protecting your mornings with silence. The Joe phase of your day, the first hour or 2 after waking, should be a notification-free zone. Not airplane mode forever. Just a deliberate window where your brain is allowed to wake up on its own terms, build its own momentum, and enter the day at a human pace, rather than a machine pace. Then schedule 2 or 3 specific windows, later in the day where you actively check and respond to messages, not reactively when the ping arrives, proactively when you decide. This single shift does something subtle but significant. It moves you from a posture of constant availability to one of intentional presence. You are no longer managed by the flow of other people's urgencies. You are working inside your own rhythm. And here is the part most productivity advice skips over entirely. The deeper issue is not the notifications themselves. It is the internal pull toward them. Even on silent, many people check their phone every few minutes, not because anything arrived, but because the habit of checking has become its own stimulus loop. The phone does not even need to buzz anymore. The urge does the work on its own. Recognizing that urge, pausing before acting on it, and asking whether you are checking by choice or by reflex. That is where the real practice begins. Jo-Ha is not a productivity system. It is a reminder that your attention has a natural shape. Work with it, and focus comes easily. Fight it, and you will spend your entire day running at full speed while standing still. A Zen garden is never finished. That is one of the first things you notice when you study the tradition closely. The monk does not rake the gravel once and walk away satisfied. He returns to it regularly, not because the garden fell apart overnight, but because maintenance is the practice. The tending is the point. Digital storage works exactly the same way, except most people treat it like an attic they sealed shut 10 years ago and quietly agreed never to think about again. Open your cloud storage or your downloads folder right now and you will likely find things you forgot existed. Screenshots of information you once thought was important. Documents started and never finished. Apps downloaded for a single specific use case in 2021. Duplicate files sitting beside other duplicate files. A slow, invisible accumulation of digital weight that your brain registers as background disorder even when you are not actively looking at it. Clutter does not have to be visible to be costly. It just has to exist. The Zen garden habit asks you to approach your digital environment the way a gardener approaches an overgrown plot, not with panic, and not all at once, but with steady, unhurried attention over time. Start with a simple audit. Go through your installed apps one by one and ask a single honest question. Did I use this in the last 30 days? Not might I use this someday? Not I paid for this, so I should keep it. Just did I actually use it? If the answer is no, remove it. Not archive it. Not move it to a folder. Remove it. If you ever genuinely need it again, it will take 40 seconds to reinstill. Then bring in a rule borrowed from the physical world of Japanese home organization, 1 in and 1 out. Every time you add a new app, a new subscription, a new tool, something else leaves. This is not about restriction. It is about keeping the garden at a size you can actually tend. The moment your digital environment becomes too large to hold in your head, it stops serving you and starts overwhelming you. Apply the same thinking to your files and folders. Not by creating an elaborate organizational system with 17 nested subfolders. That kind of complexity usually just moves the clutter rather than removing it. Instead, ask whether each folder still reflects how you actually work today, or whether it reflects a version of your workflow from 2 years ago that no longer exists. The goal is not a perfect system. The goal is a light one. And here is where the garden analogy earns its weight. A well-maintained Zen garden is not impressive because it is elaborate. It is impressive because everything in it is intentional. Every rock is placed. Every line in the gravel means something. Nothing is there by accident or inertia. When your digital environment reaches that quality, even partially, something shifts in how you relate to your devices. You stop feeling buried. You stop feeling behind. The mild, constant anxiety of a cluttered digital life begins to lift, not because you solved every problem, but because you reclaimed a sense of order that your mind can actually rest inside. A clean space, physical or digital, does one thing above all else: it makes deep focus possible. Not guaranteed, but possible. And that possibility, that open ground, is exactly what the next layer of this practice is built upon. There is a Japanese phrase that does not translate cleanly into English, which is perhaps why it carries so much weight when you finally understand. Ichigo Ichie. It means, roughly, one time, one meeting. The idea that this moment, this exact gathering of circumstances, this particular window of focus, this specific conversation or creative session will never happen again in quite this way. Not tomorrow, not in an hour. Right now, and only now. These ceremony masters built an entire ritual around this principle. Every gathering was treated as unrepeatable, and therefore worthy of complete presence. Nothing was done carelessly. Nothing was treated as routine, because routine is what you do when you believe there will always be another chance. Most of us relate to our focused time the opposite way. We sit down to do deep work and keep one eye on our notifications, thinking we can split our attention. Without losing much, we move through our evenings half present, phones nearby, half available to whatever might arrive. We treat our hours as interchangeable, as if today's quiet morning is the same as tomorrow's, as if focus is a tap we can turn on and off at will. It is not, and Ichigo Ichie knows this. The habit here is to enter each deep work session the way a tea master enters a ceremony, with intention, with the quiet acknowledgement that this block of time is singular, that giving it your full attention is not a sacrifice, it is a form of respect for your own work and your own life. Practically, this means creating a small ritual at the start of focused sessions, not elaborate, just deliberate. Clips the unnecessary tabs, put the phone in another room, not just face down on the desk. Take one slow breath before you begin. These are not productivity tricks. They are signals to your nervous system that the quality of attention you are about to bring actually matters. And then, just as importantly, create a closing ritual at the end of the day. The Japanese concept of a clean threshold, the symbolic boundary between inside and outside, between work and rest, applies here in a very practical way. Your brain needs a signal that the period of digital engagement is genuinely over for the day, not winding down while still scrolling. Actually over. This might look like plugging your phone in to charge in a room you will not sleep in. It might mean closing every tab and shutting the laptop lid at a fixed time each evening with the same deliberateness you would use to lock a door. It might mean 10 minutes of something entirely offline, a walk, a book, a conversation that creates a clear gap between your digiday and your rest. The mind does not automatically know when to stop. You have to tell it, and you tell it through consistent, repeated ritual more than through willpower alone. Here is what these 5 habits share beneath the surface. None of them are about doing more. None of them are about optimizing your schedule or squeezing extra hours out of the day. They are all, at their core, about subtraction. About removing what is pulling at you so that what remains can actually land. Ma creates visual calm. Jo-Ha-Kyu restores your natural rhythm. Digital gardening keeps your environment from quietly burying you. And Ichigo Ichie reminds you that your attention is not a resource to be managed. It is a gift you are either giving fully or scattering without realizing it. The digital world will not slow down on your behalf. It is not designed to, but you do not need it to slow down. You just need to stop mistaking its pace for your own. Reclaim the quiet. Here is your one action for today. Just one. Take everything off your home screen except 3 apps. Do it before you sleep tonight. Then come back tomorrow and notice how the first unlock of your morning feels different. Drop a comment below with the word Ma when you have done it. Want to know how many of us are reclaiming our space? Subscribe Zen Logic for discipline over distraction.